Hello and welcome back to this vision board mini workshop with Angel Living. And I'm Angel, your host here, and I'm really excited to introduce you to this way of creating a vision board like experience that you can use over and over again. So you don't need to wait till just one day a year or one specific event to make the most of this kind of experience. You can do it every month or more, but we'll gather monthly and I'll tell you a little more about that as we go on. So I hope you have your magazines ready. I just picked 3. And I want to give a shout out to my friends, Heather and Megan, for donating recently a big box of magazines and all sorts of good things for journaling. So we talked before about the different material that you can use, and I am going to show you something really different. So this is my New Moon Blessing book, and believe it or not, it's made out of a composition folder or journal. So you probably are familiar with these kinds of pages, right? So imagine taking that good old composition book and turning it into like this beautiful record of the things that you are moving through. So if you're facing a big transition, whether it's a job change, status change in your life, like maybe you're an empty nester now, this is the place to chart your course for the next leg of your journey. So just giving you a really brief peek into my journal, not too much, but this is where I will be doing my vision board. So as you can see, these pages are a little bit different than these pages, and that's something that I explain in greater detail in the New Moon Blessing book. So for now, I just would like you to take a moment and just put your hands on this book or this page or whatever it is you're working with today. And just give yourself a moment to connect to this space, to connect to this place where you are, and just allow yourself to notice your breathing pattern and the rhythm that it's at right now. And as you do that for a breath or two, maybe the rhythm starts to change a little bit. Maybe it's a little deeper. Maybe you breathe out a nice big sigh. Whatever it is for you, just allow yourself to be here in this present moment and be in participation fully as you are able with this experience, and just with the intention that it may be for your highest good right now. So once we have that connection established, I'd like to talk a little bit about what just happened actually. So if we're going to bring a little astrology into our journaling process, the way I like to do that is, one of the ways anyway, is by noticing each time the sun changes signs. So every time the sun moves into the next sign of the zodiac, there's a shift in the energy, and that lasts about a month. And when we recognize that that has happened and we begin to notice the things that are happening around us, it can be really valuable. Just in helping us with everyday decision making, planning, like, oh, this time of year is really good for what, right? So tuning into that simply. And the sun last week went into the sign of Scorpio. So there's a lot, every archetype has lots of associations. So sometimes I just go with what springs to mind. And we'll see where that leads us. And when I think of moving into Scorpio right now, the sun, this time, I think of like things being revealed, getting to the bottom of something where once we felt stuck, maybe now we see something new. And that is the intention that I am going to move into this vision board process with, is the asking for something to be revealed for me. So like specific to whatever's going on in your life, you can bring this kind of energy. Just what is ready to be revealed? What will I see over the next month that maybe I wasn't ready to see before, but now I am? So just take a moment and pick up whatever pen you have. If it's a Sharpie, that's great. And you're just going to very simply start to make a line on your paper. This is going to be covered up, so you don't even have to worry what it looks like. And it's nice to use a single line for this process, but you can go back and forth as many times as you want. You can have it change directions and cross over and just do all sorts of things. Just allowing your mind to wander into the line like it's traveling a lazy river and you don't even know where it's going. But it's just participating in this dance and just giving you a chance to feel into that space, that place of things changing, of seeing something you didn't see before, and let the wisdom contained in this idea just make itself known in lines. Maybe you make some shapes, but again, this is not about thinking about what we're making. It's really about following the pen or your marker. It's about following just the feeling. We're just letting this sense sort of inform the next line and the next line. And when you feel complete with this, just put your pencil down and give yourself a moment to journal. What is this shape or this image or these lines? What message do they have for you? So we'll spend just a couple minutes journaling, maybe 1 to 2 minutes. All right, good job. I hope that you are having an opportunity right now to just be with whatever might have been weighing you down, whatever might have felt a little daunting or confusing, just has a little more spaciousness between you and that feeling now. That's really the goal of what all of these processes are about, and that's how I live creativity, that's how I teach creativity. So that's very much the space that I invite you to join me in. Oh wow. So I'm just going to start grabbing papers now, and the first thing I saw was this: honor your ancestors. So I'm going to go ahead and go on my journey with my ripping. Oh, P.S. You can use scissors to get your images and words, but I invite you to tear if you dare, because it's a lot of fun, I think. So whether you decide to play it safe and use the scissors, or go ahead and tear and see what might happen, open yourself to the unexpected. Just spend the next couple minutes tearing images, words, whatever speaks to you, and then we'll come back together again. I'll talk a little bit, but you can also mute me and just listen to some music if you'd prefer. I'll be sure to put a playlist together to share with you soon. I am really loving the way this hand is extending this heart, so I feel like that's going to be a centerpiece here. And oh, that's so good. So you may have moved into this process with one idea of what it would look like, and you may be finding yourself drawn to images or words that are like a big surprise to you. So just go with it. This is why we do these again and again. It doesn't have to be set in stone. This is your year of this vision board, right? This is a living, dynamic creation, and oh, that's really neat. You get to keep working with this, so don't ever feel like any of this is limiting. It's meant to be liberating, just like this little lady in the sunshine. I love that. Okay. So, you know, I kind of feel, oh, there's a lot of cool images here, but I feel like I'm good. I feel like I have what I need for this page. So if you need a little more time to gather your supplies, that's okay. Go ahead and do that. You can just pause this video. Otherwise, I think I'm going to just kind of see where these things might like to be. And don't worry about covering up the image underneath, but sometimes you might find that part of it wants to peek through, and that's okay too. Okay, so I feel pretty good about what I have here. I'm noticing in myself that there's a lot of things I'd like to journal about right now. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment and just make a few notes on a separate sheet of paper. You'll notice even I'm not writing on here. As you can see, these pages are bumpy, but that makes them a lot of fun to create on. Not too much to journal on. So I have a separate journal where I write, and then often I bring like the distilled essence of what I was writing about into my design. So, but that happens later. Hence the living journal, right? This is a vision board that keeps evolving right along with you. So go ahead and take a few moments to jot down anything that's coming to mind for you right now, and then we'll move on. Okay, so I'm getting out the Mod Podge and I'm going to prepare my space to affix these images onto my journal. If you want, you can take a picture of it now and then move them to the side. It's also a good time to take a picture of the drawing that's underneath here. Sometimes people are really a little anxious about never being able to see that again, but that is understandable and why we take photos of it, so we can see it again if we want to. But it's also part of the magic of the creative process. And you know, we evolve through layers and layers of ourselves, and sometimes the things we can't see anymore have actually released their life force energy to support the things that we're creating right now and as we move along. So just notice how you feel about this image here, but go ahead and take a photo. I'm going to do that too right now. All right, so I'm just sort of moving them off to either side so that I can start this process. And I'm going to take one more photo of my page and the drawing underneath, and also the ones that I'm going to put on top. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't try this at home, but I am going to dip my brush right into the giant jar of Mod Podge. You can also put it in a container, like a small container, or you can just have a smaller jar of Mod Podge that's a little easier to handle. But if you feel confident, go ahead and dip it in there. And you just want to adhere like one at a time. So you don't want to put the Mod Podge over the whole design right now. And right now we're just focused on making sure it adheres to the paper and not to your scarf if you happen to be wearing one. And then, yeah, I'm just going to bring these back again. I just want to make sure before I add more. Look, I got a little bit on there. It's no big deal. This all, like the way this stuff works, it dries clear. So have no fear. So I'm just putting the Mod Podge down here, and once I kind of feel like it's pretty well stuck, I will come over the top too, and we'll do a final layer of that in a little bit. But it's okay to get messy and have fun with this. Highly recommend it. If you don't love having sticky fingers, you might want to keep a wet paper towel and some dry paper towels, or just regular towels around. So here we go. So as I'm doing this, you know, ideally I'm listening to music. I'm not doing that right now, but I hope that you have something playing in the background that moves you into this realm of possibilities, into this realm of change, into this time of seeing what we weren't ready to see before, or we couldn't see before. The conditions just weren't right, and now they are. So how do you prepare for times like that? That's the invitation. As we're here, just making this page, just being present to these themes, knowing that we won't be here forever either. So this is a one point in time. And the more we attune to the wisdom of the stars and really learn to work with our natal charts to get that, like that inside intel, right? It's like an indispensable tool on our guide through life. And that's why I love to share this experience with you. So there's my page, and I'm going to give it a little time to dry before I go on to the next step. So if you had to stop here, you could, and you could spend a little more time journaling. Maybe you use your fingers to smush down some little bubbles that might be coming through. And if you don't get them all, that's okay, because guess what? This is all just works in progress. Nothing here has to be perfect. You don't have to be worried about making mistakes, but you probably will be, because this is just how humans are, right? So this practice is also an invitation to be with those things as they come up in, you know, a safe and low demand kind of environment. So as we wait for this to dry, I just want to let you know that whatever came up for you during this process, there are ways that astrology can help you see deeper into these themes. And if you haven't had a reading, I highly recommend one. You know, my journey started really of being able to move into the purpose that I knew I had, but felt so blocked to actually live into. That started with astrology for me. So there are real personal reasons why I enjoy sharing this with others. I love to see people grow and flourish and thrive. So if you're in that space right now, I invite you to book an astrology reading with me. And I do have a special offer just for the next 48 hours, though. If you book your reading, I will give you a discount. It's a 15% discount. So just take a moment and be with what you've created here and ask yourself, is this right for me? Is this the time for me to accelerate my personal transformation journey? Do I need some support peering into the depths of what is coming up around me? And if the answers are yes to that, then let's get together and see what your chart has to say. So if your page isn't quite dry yet, that's okay. This next step is one that can be done in a messy way, in a tacky way, in a very experimental way. So I have some inks here, but you can use whatever you have, including, just getting a little pipette out here. You can use acrylic paint. You can even use markers, but for that you would need to make sure that the Mod Podge is dry. So I'm just applying some really old ink. This ink is very thick, and that's okay because I don't need it to be perfect. I'm gonna use this little pink here, and sometimes they're really hard to open. I'm just gonna get a little bit here. I'm just sort of dotting color, and in the blessing book process that I teach, one of the things we do is praying in dots. So this is kind of like that process, only it's a little messier and it doesn't stay dotty for long. So I've put these dots here, and I wet my paintbrush just a little bit, and I'm just gonna start playing with the color. I'm gonna pull the color around, and this step is really the integration step. So this is the place where we bring it all together. And however that looks for you is just fine. You don't have to put it over the whole page. You can use your brush to call some shapes out and push some shapes back if you want. But the idea here is just to integrate these images, integrate what you've been working with through this process, and giving yourself some time to play, just to see what happens. What happens if you use more water? What happens if you bring in a towel and wipe some of the paint off? This process is great because there's no wrong way to do it. Even if you cover some things up that you didn't want to, odds are good you can use your fingers to bring it back, and even if you can't, you know it's still there. You took a picture of this. You can go back and look if you want to. So there's nothing to worry about. But this really just kind of brings it all together. And if you have this textured paper like I do, it's just extra fun because it gets really bumpy. You can also even apply other layers over this if you want to. I have this darker ink, and I think I'm going to, if I can open it. There we go. Can I just bring an underline here? Okay, so this feels pretty complete for me. Right now I'm going to let it dry, and while I do, I'm just going to take a moment and receive a few breaths, but not too deep if the Mod Podge smell is still lingering in the air. Might give you a headache. Just take some breaths and notice what you notice. What's arising for you as you look at your page, as you consider where you're moving into for the rest of your day or evening. And keep in mind that this isn't just another vision board. You might not even hang it somewhere. It all depends on how you want to work with it. But if you liked this experience and you want more, please know that you can always join us for the New Moon Blessing book, as well as sign up for your reading. I only have a few spots for this next 48 hours, so please go ahead and check that out if it calls to you. If you can't find a time that works to book, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to find a time that we can get together and connect about your chart and how it can help you chart your course through these times of transition ahead. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I'd love to see a photo of your page if you're moved to share that. So please reach out. I look forward to creating more magic with you. Bye.